This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Will Jewelry and Loan. When you need cash and you need it fast, check out Will Jewelry and Loan. Come on in with your jewelry, firearms, electronics, tools, lawn equipment, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and even four-wheelers. They will beat any competitor's loan amount, and that's a fact. Will Jewelry and Loan guarantees faster and more cash for your loan than any other company in the area. They have your cash you need fast. Check them out today on their Facebook page or give them a call at 304-768-5101. Stop in and talk with them at 5523 McCorkle Avenue, Southwest, South Charleston, West Virginia. Will Jewelry and Loan, 304-768-5101. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight we have Dan Hall, a.k.a. Mike Honcho, with us this evening. And we have special guest Erik Gagnon from Maine. He's NV Pro staffer. He's been with us now for probably a good 8 years, I would say. Isn't that right, Erik?
Yeah.
At least that.
At least 8 years. So how you doing this evening, brother?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
We just wanted to have you on this evening to talk about the stellar season that you and your families had up there in Maine on the tagging those moose, and your father there and your daughter. Tell us a little bit about those hunts.
So the main moose season is a lottery draw, and it's kind of uncommon to have multiples from the same family, let alone this was kind of special because it was multi-generational, you know, with my father, my daughter, and myself. It's just very surreal. I still trying to process it all. It's crazy.
No doubt. That's definitely a legacy you'll never forget.
No, and
none of you guys will. I mean, that's amazing that 3 generations got drawed.
I mean, with Dad being 66, I don't know if we'll ever see that again in our lifetime. You know, at least not in this family. Maybe my grandkids someday.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy. I mean, I was talking to you there on my way home this evening, and you was saying that you've been in this lottery system now for a good while. Explain how that goes.
So in the 80s, Maine came up with a lottery system for the moose hunt. They never used to allow hunting moose prior to, mostly because of overhunting many moons ago. And since then, they call it a once in a lifetime draw. I've been fortunate. My dad's been fortunate.
Yeah.
We've been, you know, we've drawn tags multiple times, but, you know, the way the lottery is set up is you pick the zones you'd like to hunt, the seasons you'd like to hunt. If you only want to hunt bulls, if you'll accept a cow tag, if that's all that's left. And that's all we do. I mean, we put in the zones that we want. We'll accept any tag if our zones are filled, and we'll also accept a cow tag. And we've been very blessed.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know you guys have done well over the years. Just since you've been with us,
yeah,
I've seen you guys killed. I mean, at least 3 or 4, probably, huh?
So yeah, so my dad has been on 49 consecutive moose hunts, and he's had 1 moose hunt that was unsuccessful, and that was my very first tag. It was a very hot week. It was earlier in September than the last week. I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd week of September, whatever it was, but it was really early. I saw 1 moose that week. I passed up on it. It was a small little bull. I didn't want to shoot him on a Monday morning at 6 o'clock, and just didn't see anything else the rest of the week. But ever since then, we've been fortunate.
That's great,
man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were talking there earlier when we was talking, and you said you all have gotten drawn 4 times, or you've gotten drawn 4 times for these moose.
Yeah.
And you know, there's kind of a process to that, and the better process, what you was talking about, was to not be so picky, just kind of go for whatever comes available.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, I know some people that get upset that, yeah, I've been drawn 4 times. My father's been drawn 4 times, you know, and of course you hear, oh, who you paying off? Who do you know at the state? I don't do anything different. You know, I apply for the zones I want, accept any tag, and I'll accept cow tags. And the people that only choose, say, the best zones, which would be the northern zones, 1, 2, and 3, and then say bull only, and they only want the September hunt, well, you're limiting yourself quite a bit.
Right.
So you may never get drawn. Now, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you can't be picky. I mean, you're not looking for trophy hunting. You're just looking to have the enjoyment of it.
I'm a freezer filler. I mean,
that's right.
The antlers, they don't matter to me.
Yeah, that's like what we were talking about this evening. You enjoy the meat.
Absolutely.
What does that meat taste like? I've not personally ever had moose. I've had elk, and it tastes very good. So what would you compare that to?
I've never had elk, so I can't compare it to that, but I'd say probably like a free range homegrown beef critter, probably, without the hormones and preservatives and all that other garbage they put in it.
Sure.
It's very tasty. It's very delicious.
Nice. Now, but speaking on antlers, was that your daughter's first moose ever?
Funny story about my daughter. She would tag along and come hunting. She would help me gut, skin, do whatever, but she never wanted to pull the trigger, ever. Had no interest in shooting a gun.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks after the lottery draw and her name come out, we talked about it, and I said, look, hey, you just need to be there. I'll take care of shooting. You just need to be there. That's it. A couple of weeks go by, and she says, hey, you need to take me shooting. Excuse me, what? She goes, you need to take me shooting. I got a moose hunt coming up. I'm like, okay. You don't have to tell me that twice. So off we went to the range and started off with a 22. And I mean, I had about 7 or 8 weeks to get her ready for this hunt. So I took her to the range, started with a 22, moved up to the AR 223, 300 blackout, and then I asked my father. I talked to him about it, and I said, it's a 3-generation hunt, and I get a little choked up. How special would it be for her to use, my grandfather's rifle? So he brought down the 308, which is a Model 7 featherweight carbine, and I got it fit for her. I got a cheap pad for her, and I put a recoil pad for her, and she started shooting it. And she felt confident. I said, "Do you think you can shoot a moose with this?" She says, "Absolutely." And the rest was history. And then we went hunting.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of history behind that weapon there that you're talking about, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my grandfather's rifle. He passed away in 2001. The last deer he shot with it was probably in the 90s, sometime early 90s. And it was a big buck. It was a 242-pound buck. But yeah, it's just one of those things, just to add that extra element just made it that much more special.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you can't get no better than that. Using a weapon that has been in your family for generations and generations, and
yeah.
I mean, and to have your daughter use it to beat it all, that's just great, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a great feeling. You get to pass that down and let your kids and everybody hunt with it, and know it's going to continue to kill things through the years. Yeah,
no doubt.
But I may have missed that. But I was speaking on antlers, so that's her first moose kill.
Yes.
Are you getting that mounted? You gonna mount that for her?
Yes. I gave her a couple options. She decided to go with a Euro mount. So I'm having North Roads Taxidermy do that for her.
Awesome.
So Ryan does excellent work. I mean, he's done some of the stuff that we have on the wall now. He's just a fantastic taxidermist. That's what she decided to go with. So we'll roll with it.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the European. Actually, I'm starting to like European more and more. I think it just looks good. It's clean.
They don't take up as much room as a whole moose head.
That's true too. Yeah, that would take up some room. I wasn't even thinking on that.
Oh yeah, that or elk, man. I mean, you gotta have some high ceilings to be able to put an elk or a moose head on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know what my elk head looks like in the house, Mike, or my elk skull looks like. I mean, it takes up the room.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, I can only imagine if it had had the whole head still on it.
Yeah, it's almost, honestly, Eric. It's above my couch.
Yeah.
It's probably when I'm sitting on the couch. What do you think, Michael? Probably 2-3 foot above my head.
Yeah, probably at least 2.5, 3 foot above his head, and it sticks out away from the wall about 3 foot.
Yeah, it's huge, and that's as tight to the ceiling as I could get it. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's touching the ceiling. The tines are.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
So who was the first one that came down with the moose?
In the lottery, or who had the first hunt?
Yeah, who had the first hunt? Who had the first moose on the ground?
That would be Brooke. Her hunt was the bull hunt. She had the first season, so that was the end of September hunt.
Awesome.
The weather was not very promising, and you'll actually see her walking in here in a second. The weather wasn't very promising that week, so we kind of had to change our strategy a little bit. So the whole dynamic of moose hunting in Maine has changed a lot. I mean, before you used to be able to just ride down the roads and you'd see them anywhere, but now it's, with the more cuts that come upon and all the roads that are being built, they're just being pushed further and further into the woods. So we found an area that had about you can go by. We found an area that was about a 2-year-old cut, and it had some poplar trees that were probably, I don't know, 6-7 foot tall, maybe a little taller. And we had called it on Monday, and it was rainy. Didn't really get any response. And then so Tuesday morning, Dad goes, "Where do you want to go?" I said, there's something just felt moosey about that area, so let's go back to that cut. And the truck really wasn't parked in a good position. We're kind of right at the beginning of the cut, so the truck was kind of sticking out a little bit. So I waited. We got there a little later than I wanted to, so I waited about 20-30 minutes. I got out and I started calling. Now, being hard of hearing, I'm wearing my muffs and I'm listening. I'm calling. No more than 5 minutes, and I hear a tree branch snap, and then I hear a whoa, and I'm like, "Shit, that's a moose." So I'm looking at Dad, and I never really called one in before, so I was a little excited. So I look at Dad, and I'm like, "Man, I heard something. Like, let's go." And so Brooke, she had fallen asleep on the way up, and so he's waking her up. So I run back to the truck, grab my rifle, get her rifle, get her shooting sticks, and we get in position. I keep calling, and then he went silent, and I'm just like, "Oh no, don't tell me I lost him. Don't tell me he winded me or something." So I let out a cow call and kind of made like a little bit of an estrus type sounding call, and then I started raking the branches, and I heard it again. So I got a little more aggressive with the raking, and then he just kept getting more vocal. So at this point, we're set up in the road because we had a nice opening in the woods, and Dad goes, go on the other side of the road. So I went on the other side of the road, got her set up, and now we can see, a lot more.
Yeah.
And he came out, he stopped probably 20 feet from the edge of the road. And when he came out, it was textbook. Head swaying, the poplars are moving side to side. It was awesome. Grunting, with every step. And
man.
So as soon as he comes into view and he's like straight onto us, Brooke's like, "I see him," and I hear the safety go off. I'm like, no. Let him come to us. He's coming right on a string. Like, he's gonna come right to the road. Just let him come. So she took the safety back off, put the safety back on. When he got to the road, he caught sight of my truck and he turned right broadside.
Oh.
So I'm like, so I've got my gun up and I'm like, "Brooke, do you see him?" She's like, yes. I'm like, "Okay, can you shoot him?" And I don't hear her. So I'm like, "Brooke, do you want me to shoot him? Like, he's going to run here. He's going to get nervous." And I see her put the shooting sticks down, and I'm like, "Oh, shit. She's never shot offhand before. She's always shot off her wrist. She's always shot off the shooting sticks."
Oh, wow.
At this point, the moose is probably 50 yards, 60 yards maybe. So I'm like, Brooke, do you want me to shoot him? I've got him. I can drop him right here. Like, this can be done. She goes, no, I'm shooting. I heard click and then bang, and then she made a perfect shot. I mean, he buckled up real hard, ran 50 yards, and dropped.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was just I wish I had somebody recording with a camera, because it would have been awesome footage.
Mm-hmm. Now, you was talking about you having a gun. I got two questions here, but you was talking about you having a gun. So how does that work? Two people are allowed to carry the gun on a moose hunt in Maine?
Yeah, so you're allowed. So you get the permittee, and then you're allowed to have a sub permittee.
Oh, okay.
Now, had I squeezed the trigger, I would not have been able to shoot my moose.
Oh, okay. Unless she, or what? I mean, at all?
Correct.
Or could you have went again and she shot that one?
I would have had to have either my other daughter, or I could have changed sub permittee and have my sub permittee shoot it.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure the reasoning behind it, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, at least it gives you options, like if you're in the position like you all was in,
right,
and you have that once in a lifetime moose in front of you, it gives you some good options instead of having to let it pass.
Right.
Yeah. What pounds? How? Well, let me rephrase that. How heavy was that moose after you guys killed that one? She got
that one dressed out was 745.2.
Wow.
And I had a 37.5-inch spread.
Good
Man,
nice.
That's good. The pictures, from the pictures there, I wouldn't have thought that the rack would have been that wide, but I guess it doesn't do it justice.
No, it's pretty wide. I mean, it's, he's kind of, I don't want to say he's on the small end. He's kind of like average, I guess. Anywhere around 40 inches is about average.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, anything 40 and above is a pretty decent moose.
I mean, just to draw a tag is one thing, but to have a bull walk in front of you, and you be able to call that thing in, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's just great.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
After it's fully dressed, what's that, about 350 pounds of meat?
So hanging weight at the butcher with the skin off, with the hide and the head off and the antlers, I think hanging weight was something like 585 pounds or something. So probably butchered up, you're looking at probably around 300 or so pounds.
Sure, after bone loss and all that. Yep.
Right.
Wow, that's a lot of meat, and then you guys killed 3 of them. That's awesome.
Yeah, like between hers and mine, I mean, I've got two 7 cubic foot chest freezers full, plus I've got that stained up freezer right there is fairly full.
Wow. I mean, I know how filling a freezer is, because we kill our beef every year, but
yeah,
it's still not wild game. It's not something like that. But yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. So
I would say the head on that thing weighed 60, 80 pounds.
It's got to be close.
Every bit of it.
It's got to be close, because I mean, you figure a 745 dress, and once you took the hide and the head off, I mean, you lost another 100 or so pounds, or a little more, because it was 585, I think, was the hanging weight.
Yeah.
So you was looking at 800 pounds. Probably maybe a little over 800 pounds on the hoof. Yeah, live weight.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose every bit of 50 pounds from the guts.
Oh yeah, at least.
Now, do you keep the heart and the liver and all that stuff?
I do. I do.
Awesome.
I did not keep the liver on this one. I did keep the heart on that one. We did not keep the liver on my dad's. Did cut a portion out of the one that I shot.
Nice. Yeah, I'd be curious on that. I like elk liver. I like beef liver.
Tastes like liver.
Liver's liver.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, liver's liver. It's all got to taste like straight iron to me. I mean, I gotta be able to fix it better than what I have in the past, because I've got beef liver now and I need to eat it.
Soak it in milk, Michael. Soak it in milk.
Now, is that overnight that you soak it in milk, or?
You can, however long you want to. I mean, it's going to pull the blood out of it. It's going to pull the chalkiness, as you will.
Yeah.
It's going to have a better taste. I'll give it that.
Never done that.
So, Erik, we were talking there before we got on, and we were talking about the poundages and stuff, and you said that the butcher bill on those things, those two, was like $1,200.
Yeah, it's $1 a pound.
Wow. And Dan, when he told me that, I was like, oh my God, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Because here, you're talking like to get a beef. It's usually about 69 cents a pound.
About 65 cents a pound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you'd have to have a pretty decent setup to do it yourself. I don't know per se if I could do a moose myself. I'd figure it out, but it'd be the whole hanging it thing.
It's an oversized deer.
Yeah.
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 Very oversized.
Now, when you pull them out, do you quarter them in the field?
No.
If you have to,
So what we did for Brooks is we have a spool of rope. So my father works at the paper mill, so he was able to get a spool of rope that they had already used, and we have a big pulley, and I have a D-ring that I put in the hitch of my truck. So we tied the pulley up to the D-ring, passed the rope through, tied it to the moose, and tied the other end of the rope to his truck, and then we pulled it out that way. Now, with Dad's moose, that was a little different story. So what we did with Dad, the Monday morning of his hunt, we dropped him off in a cut. So it was myself, my father, and his longtime hunting buddy that they've been hunting since high school. So we dropped him off at a cut, and he says, I'm going to walk up to the top and just sit here for a little bit, come back and get me at 9:30. So while Alan and I were out riding around, checking some other cuts, look for sign and stuff, and we come back at 9:30, well, Dad's got a moose down. Problem is, she's 355 yards off the road at the top of the clear cut.
Oh. Oh.
So, all right, we get there and we gut it all out, get it all, situated. We start heading back to the camp, Alan and I, because the person that shot the animal has to stay with it. So we're on our way back to the camp, and I look at Alan and I said, hey, Alan, did you get the key? Do you have the key for the camp? Because the rope and everything is locked in the camp. He's like, no. He says, I thought you had the key. I'm like, I don't have the key. And so I'm like, well, let's stop at another friend's camp. We'll grab his half canoe anyway. I got some rope in the truck, and we'll see what we can do. So sure enough, we get to the camp. There's no hidden key anywhere. So haul back to my dad. We got the trailer and everything with us. And he goes, yeah, about 10 minutes after you guys left, I realized I got the key in my pocket. So the three of us ended up getting, half the moose inside that canoe. We grabbed the rope that we had, and the three of us proceeded to start dragging the moose by hand. We made it about 200 yards, probably about 20 feet at a time. Take a break. You're pulling 622 pounds of dead weight. Thankfully, it was mostly downhill. So once we got, closer to the road, and then we went back with the key and got what we needed, the rope and the pulley, and kind of did the same thing. But you definitely got to be prepared. We were prepared to quarter out if we needed to, but we just decided to keep it whole.
Sure. So was your hunt and your dad's hunt, was it the same time frame?
Yeah. So dad had drawn the tag for the second week, which also would have been a bull. But I only had another week of vacation left for work. So he's like, well, he says, I'll trade my bull tag for a cow. He says, I don't care about the antlers. It's easier. It'll probably be easier to get 2 cows than it would be to get 2 bulls. So sure enough, found somebody to trade. Same zone, everything. So it was perfect. We're all in the same district.
Wow.
And so after he shot his cow, I'm like, Dad, I says, I really don't need another moose in my freezer. I really don't. Brooks filled it up pretty good. I said, I'm content. If you want to just be done, we can be done. He's like, oh, how often do 3 generations get tags? And I'm like, all right. I said, I know how much that means to you, so let's do it. So we continued hunting the rest of the week, even though I didn't really need to. But so then on Tuesday and Wednesday, we didn't see any moose. Wednesday, we got busted, actually. We were sitting in the morning, and we had the truck parked. We were gonna go check a couple cuts, and of course, you get out in the morning and we did our business, and the wind must have turned or something. But there was a cow that was calling just outside from where the truck was parked, and all of a sudden she just went silent. So Dad's like, man, I can't tell if that was a cow or somebody was calling. And I'm like, well, you don't normally call a cow, so I'm leaning towards it was a live cow. I mean, they were probably coming out. It's like, whatever. We hummed and hawed a little bit, and so we hunted all day, didn't see nothing. Looks like we lost Dan. And went back to camp and we regrouped. And then Thursday morning, we were trying to decide where to go. And there was a couple areas where we found a lot of good sign. We decided to go back to where the cow had busted us, and turned out that was the right move. We drove in at daylight, and in the cut there was some stumps that had tricked us the day before. We thought were moose, and when we glassed it, come to find out they were stumps. Well, my dad's buddy was looking. He goes, "Those aren't stumps, guys. Those are cows." And I'm like, "What?" My binoculars, and I look, sure enough, there's 3 cows standing in the field, all in the clear cut there, all together. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go for that one because I think she's the smaller one. She looked older as well. She had gray and more color variation.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a 320-yard poke, and the first shot she was facing me, and then with the wind and everything. So yeah, it took me 3 shots to down her, but she dropped right there. I didn't have to chase her.
Wow, man, that's great. So that was a pretty quick hunt.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was over probably 20 minutes into legal shooting time that day. Like I said, we dropped her. She was 320 yards from where I shot her, and probably 200 yards to the nearest road where we drug her out. Kind of same situation. We used a half canoe with the trucks and the pulley set up through the clear cut.
Yeah.
And so I shot her. We didn't get back. I didn't get to the tagging station till about 1 in the afternoon. By the time we actually, cleared a path and got her drug out and onto the trailer and all that stuff. So it takes quite a bit of time. Yeah, you got to be careful. Make sure ropes don't snap and all that good stuff. But it's while I was left alone when my dad and Alan went to get the trailer and the rope and the pulleys, I had some time there to reflect on all of it, and where it was just myself and the moose for a couple hours, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't get emotional. It was just all of it, just all at once, just hit me.
Awesome.
It just hit me. It was like waterworks. It was crazy.
I guarantee it, man. I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, it's just, I can only imagine, the adrenaline and, the emotions that are going through all of you guys, really. I mean, that's,
yeah.
How many generations is that right there?
Well, like I say, the 3 and then the 4, counting my grandfather's rifle that Brooke harvested hers with, and it was just, it's surreal. And
that's awesome.
2022 has been a fantastic fall for myself personally. I mean, not just for seeing my daughter's first hunt being successful, seeing my father be successful, and then myself feeling that, as you all know, turkey in the spring, and then I was fortunate to harvest a bear, which was a nice bear, 322 pounds dressed. Taxidermist is telling me that it might make Boone and Crockett. And now a moose.
Nice.
And then Maine has this, they call it the Maine Slam Club. So all I have left is a deer for that. And so that's if you get a turkey, a bear, a moose, a deer, all in the same calendar year. So
awesome.
I'm going for that now.
And it don't matter what sex, deer, buck, doe.
Well, so our doe permit is a lottery here. And so I ended up, they kind of changed the lottery this year. I didn't draw a tag in the lottery, but any extra tags were up for sale, so I was able to purchase one.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And what they've done with that is normally you would only be allowed to shoot either a buck or a doe if you had a doe tag, but what they've done is if you were drawn for a doe tag, you can shoot your doe, and you can also shoot a buck.
Okay.
So,
I got you.
Yep.
Nice. Well, one of the things that we like to do during our podcast is verse of the day, scripture of the day, whatever you want to call it. Seeing that this is such a blessing that you all got to do this, Genesis 1:29 through 30 says, Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food, and to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. I know that you don't only hunt, deer and moose and stuff like that. You waterfowl hunt too. So, and turkey, it's just been, you've had one blessed season. And I just thought that was a good scripture to go along with it because, these blessings that the Lord gives us, it's just amazing. Not only the blessings of food and for you to harvest those, but to harvest them with your family and those 4 generations.
Absolutely. It's definitely fitting.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So I've actually got another quick question, 2 quick questions maybe. So with the legacy, the legacy hunt, all 3 generations, did Brooke continue on with you guys during every hunt, or did she say, nope, I killed mine, I'm gonna take it easy and rest?
So she decided to stay back. She was playing soccer, so it was soccer season, and she wanted to go to school. But I did ask her today. I says, are you going to deer hunt? I mean, you got a doe permit too. Are you going to deer hunt? And I said, I won't wake you up at 4 a.m. We can go in the afternoon if you want. And so she's open to that.
Nice. That's cool.
So,
and also, I know you was talking about shooting from the road.
Yeah.
What's your guys' regulations on that? Because I know we have to be, in West Virginia, we've got to be so far away from a road before we can legally shoot.
So the only roads that we cannot shoot from are paved roads. So you have to be off the shoulder like 10 feet if you're shooting like off a paved road. But as long as you're on a gravel road and you're not like in a residential area, you're fine.
Okay. That's kind of nice.
That's cool.
Plus up there, it's all unorganized townships too. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So Brooke got hers first, your father got his, and then it was yours, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's hear a little bit of details about yours.
Well, start off Wednesday morning, we were hunting this area, and before we got cut off there, we had parked, and just before the sun come up, we kind of went outside and just went to the bathroom, and a cow was calling, and the wind shifted, and she smelt or whatever, and she just stopped calling. And Dad was a little confused, and he was thinking, well, is that somebody calling? He says, I heard this yesterday too, and it lasted about just as long, and then it went away. I was like, I don't think somebody's calling for cows. And so we continued hunting that day, and we were looking in the area. I mean, the sign was real promising, but then we went check other areas, and there was a lot of really good sign, and we found a really nice area that if somebody ever gets drawn for a bull tag, I want to take them there because I think we'll be successful. But Thursday morning, Dad, he asked me, he goes, where do you want to go? It's your hunt, where do you want to go? And I said, well, I kind of like, that area we went to. I said, but I also like where the cow was calling. I said, let's go to that area where the cow was calling, because I know that's kind of one of your areas that you want to check out. So this time we stopped closer to the main road and waited for the sun to come up, because the Wednesday, the day prior, it sounded like the cows were going to be in that first cut. So we decided to wait in that area. First light came, we glassed the area, didn't see nothing. So we came up to the wooded section, went through that, and then when we came up to the next cuts, and I don't know how familiar some people may be with clear cuts, but there's always usually some stumps, and moose are very dark, and so they look like black stumps. So Dad's friend was looking through his binoculars, and he goes, those aren't stumps, those are moose. So I got my binoculars out, and sure enough, there was 3 cows, and 2 of them were really dark, and one of them, you might have missed it, Dame. One of them was kind of older. She looked older. She had more blondish and gray on her. And I also thought she was the smaller one, because I'm like, I don't need a big moose. You know, Brooke filled our freezer nicely. I don't need a big moose. So I decided this is the one I'm going to take. So I got the rangefinder out. Yeah, the rangefinder just won't pick it up. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I know it's over 200 yards. So, I mean, we watched, I probably watched her for 10 minutes before I decided to pull the trigger, because I was hoping she was going to turn broadside, and she wasn't. And she was kind of in a little bit of a gully. She was facing towards me, and they were starting to get a little anxious. So I was like, it's now or never. So I took a shot, and then she ran off to the left, and then she's standing right perfectly broadside. So I came around the truck, and now I'm in the front of the truck and versus the side, and I fired once more, and she didn't drop right away. So then I fired that third shot, and that's what dropped her. But it was
nice.
It was a quick hunt. It was very quick. I mean, the whole thing was like
that was
20 minutes into legal.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So I do have one more question before we move on
Fire away.
and do
No,
other
you're not.
portion.
No more questions, Dan. I didn't even get a chance to talk.
Well, you don't need to talk. We hear you enough on these things. It's my turn. This is Mike Honcho.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'll ask you one more, and then we'll probably. I got the. We do that salute to service every time.
I see your Tootsie Roll, Mike.
So, you're talking about the lottery system.
Yes, sir.
How does that work for an out of stater? Like if me or Michael would try to get into a moose hunt as an out of state hunter, is it the same thing? A lottery system for out of towners?
Yeah. So I forget what the percentage of tags get allocated to non-residents. The advantage that you have over a resident is that you can buy multiple chances versus just one chance. So, like for the next 3 years, I can't apply. I'm out of the lottery.
Oh, wow.
So you have a chance. No, I'm just kidding.
Man.
So,
what kind of price range you looking at for a non-resident?
To apply, it's $15. Looks like $15. I think that's across the board, resident and non-resident. So I can't apply to be in the lottery, but what I can do is I can apply for points. So like on the 4th year when I apply, I'll have 3 points added up. So,
okay,
that's how that works. I think this year was like one out of every 700 non-residents got a tag. I mean, it sounds low, but there's plenty that have drawn that it was their first time applying.
Sure.
Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah.
It's
that's awesome.
Maine is it's a place to go for people to hunt. I mean, y'all have a lot of out of state hunters come in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the one thing I kind of hope someday changes. I hope they allow Sunday hunting, because I have heard through guiding bear hunts that people don't want to come because they feel that they're losing that day.
Sure.
You get to camp, especially on a bear hunt, and you get to camp Sunday afternoon. I mean, usually you're sitting on a stand in the afternoon, so they kind of feel like that day's wasted. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
That's one thing I wanted to hit on. I know we were pretty much on here talking about your hunting season and the memories and things like that, but wanted to go in a little bit about you being a guide in Maine as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sure am. I've had my guide's license since probably 2012, I believe. I don't get to do a whole lot of it, but I do every year guide for an outfitter for bear hunts. And I am hoping to try to start taking some of my own clientele here in the very near future.
That's awesome.
I've taken a few people turkey hunting and stuff. But.
Yeah.
Hey, when I'm going to apply for some moose hunts, if I get drawed,
I might know a guy.
If I get drawed, I'll see if I can find me an outfitter up there, guide service or something. Yeah, I mean, heck, what's $11 or whatever the cost of it? That's nothing.
It's $15. It's $15 for the application. I'm not sure what the non-resident rate is for the actual permit. Like I had to for a resident, it's $52, I believe. for the
Man,
permit.
it can't be no worse than what I've paid up here in Illinois. It's $700 for me to hunt up here.
No, it's not that much. No, I want to say it's probably around $450 maybe for non-resident,
Wow.
All right, I'm in.
which isn't terrible.
It's not bad.
Let's do it, Michael. We're going to be applying for a lottery system in Maine moose hunt. I've
Go
never
for it.
killed a moose. Never have yet seen a moose.
We may get a pull when we're about 73, unless Erik can pull some strings for us.
I don't know. This guy knows this guy must know somebody to get three family members.
I know. I mean, come on. He said he's been pulling since he was like, or he's been in this lottery since he was like 6.
Yeah. No, my
That's
first
awesome.
my first tag was when my oldest daughter was born. My second tag was when my youngest daughter was born, and then I got drawn in 2014, I believe, and then this year.
But that's another key to that too, is to getting your points up, like what you was talking about. That can be done in Kentucky too. I think y'all kind of use the same point system there.
Yeah, something similar.
Most anywhere that has a lottery system
Mhm.
is. I know my buddy lives in Arizona. Sorry, wow, and they have the whole lottery system for elk and all that. They even have it. I think they even have it for javelinas.
Huh, really?
You gotta get drawn to, yeah, something. It was something weird like that. Something you'd think, well, maybe it was goose deer, not javelina. But yeah,
I was thinking most places
Wow.
wanted all the hogs gone.
yeah. Well, they make a lot of that chorizo out of that javelina meat. So
Boy.
maybe that's a.
I had some of that made with my moose.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
nice.
I love chorizo. I could eat that.
Mhm.
I had my first chorizo chili the other day. Oh my god!
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
So, another thing we like to do is salute to service. And it just so happens that you had a son that served, Jacob Gagnon. So he's, obviously he's from Bangor, Maine, where you guys are from. He was in the Army as a specialist.
Yes, sir.
He spent 5 years in there. He was actually, service was cut short due to him not wanting to get the vaccination.
That is correct.
That's your right.
He had 1 year left on his 6-year term.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's his right, and I salute him for that. He was where his first duty station was in Germany.
Yes, sir. Wiesbaden.
Okay, Wiesbaden. Yep, I see that now. And he was last stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, and he was discharged in March of 2022. So, we just want to thank him for his service. It takes a great amount of fortitude to join the service,
Absolutely.
let alone serve in it. And, that's awesome that he got the opportunity. We just want to thank him.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm sure he'll appreciate it too.
Yep. Thank you for your service, Jacob. Your dad has talked highly of you over the years to me, and you're a great young man, and we sure appreciate you and what you do for our country. Thank you, sir.
Now quit letting your sister show you up on killing moose.
Oh, he got one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he shot one in 2015, I think it was.
Nice.
Yeah, I only got one child that hasn't drawn yet, and she was very upset with me this year.
No.
I didn't put her in for the lottery. I only put her in for points because it was her first year at the university, and I didn't think she'd want to miss school.
No.
Yeah. That would have, man, could you imagine if you got four tags drawn? Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
In one family. Wow.
I don't know what we would have done. I really don't. Oh, shoot.
Anything that you want to mention before we go?
I'll just I'd love to see more children and women involved in the outdoors. I mean, we're seeing a little bit more of it here in Maine. I don't know about you all over there, but it seems like as parents we just seem to not be taking our youth out, and it's kind of sad, really, because I feel like it's a tradition that's fading, and I'm not sure how to turn it around. We as sportsmen have got to find a way to take the negative image that we have and turn it to a positive.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
And talking about, I'm at fault for that, but to a point, I asked my daughter, You want me to get you up in the morning? I'll take you out. I think I want to sleep. I'm like, okay. But, now squirrel hunting, she loves squirrel hunting because that's something you don't have to get up
Right.
at 5 o'clock in the morning to go squirrel hunting. You get up when you get up, you go in the woods, and chances are you sit still long enough, you're going to see a squirrel.
Right.
So, but I think, like I told her this year, I said, there's no option. I'm going to set the blind up. Me and you's going. You've been wanting to shoot a deer. You're going. I'm going to wake you up. And granted, you may sleep in a blind and I can wake you up whenever, but we're going. I'm taking you. I've neglected you long enough.
Do an evening hunt.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that too.
I mean, that's what Brooke wants to do. She don't want to get up at 4 in the morning, so I'm just like, all right, we'll just do the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yep.
Actually works out pretty good because I can go duck hunting in the morning. Now come back and get her in the afternoon, go deer hunting.
Sure. Nice.
Yeah, so you talking about duck hunting there earlier. We can work out some bartering and trading there on the duck hunting side of things. Greg Hicks, if you heard that, we need to get this man set up with a duck hunt.
Well, if y'all get a moose hunt up here, I mean, we can double dip. We can go, duck hunting on the weekend before the hunt, because I'm sure you'd want to come up a couple days before.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. But you got to also mention the Greg Hicks. We may let him take him duck hunting. He ain't getting the meat. We're trading him.
Yeah. I'd have to say we'd have to split some up with him. Greg's
we'll just have a big cookout or something, man.
Yeah, we'll have to have a big old moose cookout. Me and Greg and John Fowler was up there on a waterfowl hunt with Kurt, and I had talked to you while we was up there. Of course, we didn't get to come down and see you. Come up and see you because you were a little further up.
Yeah, and at the time, being the supervisor of the shop, I just couldn't really break free.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate, but man, we had an amazing time, and that is some beautiful, beautiful woods up there. I mean, if there was another place in the U.S. that I could live, Maine would be my place.
That's because you like the cold.
Because he's retarded.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Eric, I used to like the cold because I worked in it a lot. Now that I don't work in it a lot, I don't particularly like it as much. So,
68 degrees year round would be the best.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
That's a rookie number. Bump that up a little bit, like 75-ish.
Yeah, see.
Well, I mean, I can deal with that too.
Every time it snows here, I send a picture, or Eric will, he'll see a picture I post, and he's like, I hate snow. And then they've got it like, what, 7, 8 months out of the year?
And not as bad here. Up where my parents live, it gets colder longer, and, the snow stays, and they get a lot more, but it's not terrible here. I still don't like it anymore, though.
I hear you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've worked out in it a lot too.
Oh yeah. Especially working at the airport. That was one of my things. Was I used to take care of the de-ice truck, so it was like winter was my nemesis.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we appreciate you coming on this evening, Eric, and we appreciate all the years that you've been with Nature's Voice Game Calls and all your support that you've given us over those years, and we hope that you've enjoyed your time with us, and we continue to, it was just great talking to you, hearing those stories this evening, man. I mean, I just love hearing those stories, the hunting stories, and this is one of those things that you'd want to sit around the campfire and have a couple beers and just talk about, you know? I mean, it's an amazing family tradition that's carried on within your family, and, you got to use your was it your grandfather's gun there?
Yeah. My daughter Brooke used it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Just amazing that was able to connect like that. So,
and my dad's actually carrying that rifle this week as he's deer hunting.
Yeah, man, that's great. So yeah, we just we appreciate you taking the time to come on this evening, and everybody be sure to check us out on the limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls on Facebook. We have a actual group there that you can join. We've also started a like page, so be sure to check us out there. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, we're on about every outlet that you can think of. So wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. So go check us out, give us a listen, and give us a follow. Thanks, guys, for listening. Eric, you have a good evening.
You too, sir.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Ghost 802, a sports team based in Vermont. Their goal is to promote safe and ethical hunting and to raise the youth to share the same passion for the archery, hunting, and the outdoors as they did growing up. For more information, check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let them know that you heard about them right here on The Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls.